Shooter from the belt to the plate. A swing and a miss, and that's the winner. That's the winner. A World Series winner for the Cardinals. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run, and the Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard. Go crazy. Swinging a long one into left field. Adios, goodbye, and maybe that's the winner. A 3-run homer by Clark. And the Cardinals lead by the score of 7-5, and they may go to the World Series on that one, folks.
What a team. What a ride. The Cardinals are world champs in 2011.
Welcome to That's a Winner podcast. I am Ryan Jenkins, and with me, as always, is Josh Brown and Kyle Peach. We have a little coming up and behind us. All right, so tonight we're going to get to Tyler O'Neill and Oli Marmol and their feud, or is it something or is it nothing? I'm not sure. We'll break down that part. We're also going to talk about the pitching staff. Is it too soon to be worried, or are we extremely worried, or it's 6 games in? No big deal. And then also we're going to talk about Jordan Walker, Nolan Gorman, and the offense, and how great can they be? What are we expecting from this offense? And then at the end, we're also going to talk to Landon Atkins, and he's going to talk to Kyle. All 3 of us met him in St. Louis on the final day of the season, and we're going to have a short conversation with him as well. All right, so I'm going to open it up. Kyle and Josh, welcome, and let's talk about Oli Marmol and Tyler O'Neill. Something or nothing? Josh, I'll let you. Well, you have a lot to say about this.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, let's go to Kyle first. Kyle, something or nothing? Is this anything? Whose side are you on, or no big deal?
It's somewhere in the middle for
You're
me.
You're muted on my end. Now go.
Thanks. It's somewhere in the middle for me. It's a little bit of something and a little bit of nothing. Personally, I wish it would have stayed behind closed doors in the locker room. It gives us a bad rap out in the public. Fans are talking about it. We're talking about it. It's really something we should never have known about, quite honestly. I like the manager demanding perfection and the best from his players. I don't like the players' response that he was doing. Take it. Take the criticism, handle the criticism. Yeah, I need to be better. Deal with it. Move on. It's really Tyler O'Neill's response to me that was the problem, more so than Oli Marmol, except I wish it would have been kept behind closed doors. Tyler O'Neill needs to say, yep, I need to be better. I will be better the next time I'm out, and we are not talking about it anymore. Instead, here we are, days later. It's still an issue. Is he starting? Is he not? That part of it I don't like.
But let's backtrack a little bit. Was there an issue with him running live? Yes, 100%. Right? Does anyone refute that fact that he was not giving it 100%?
I mean,
I think. Go ahead.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it live.
Okay, video. Did you?
Yeah,
see the replay?
I watched the video after. I mean, it did look like he was rounding.
So there are
slow.
Analytics now.
Yes.
You can see
he was at 27-ish feet a second. He's usually at
27.8 feet per second, and he used top end speed is around 30
which
feet
is
per
top
second.
in the league. I mean, that's high. That's high up there in the league
Yes.
if you're at 30 feet a second.
Okay. Yes, so that's where the issue begins. Also, Pop Warner should not have sent him.
Terrible send.
Probably not as well. But
which we say often with Pop.
We do all the time. But it seems like if you're going to go, you got to go. And if you're not committed to running, then you have to put up your own stop sign and stop as well. So that's my issue with it, definitely. Yes, he was not running. That is the problem. And I didn't like his comments of, I'm trying to make it 160 games. Like, that was real, like, you're just trying to make it. Like, we're trying to win. We're like, I understand, like, it was kind of like the Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina not running to first. I always hated that. I always scream whenever they didn't run to first.
But did they ever get flamed out for that?
No, but is Yadier,
different managers, obviously.
But also, is Tyler O'Neill on the same level as Yadier Molina
with his speed? I don't think so.
And Albert Pujols. I'm talking about all of it.
Oh well, no,
Yeah.
no. I mean, he's earned nothing.
He's earned nothing.
Here's the tough thing with me on this. I think I can see a little bit of both sides, right? I can see Ollie's stance. It's pretty easy to see that he wasn't going full tilt round and third. And that is on Tyler. Whether he thought he was going to get sent or not, it doesn't matter. You're getting sent. If you started off slow, you got to pick it up, especially knowing that the ball was hit to right field, which is Ronald Acuna, who has one of the better arms in the game. You have to pick it up. Like, you have to. But I do get a little bit on Tyler's end. Even that comment, I didn't like it, but even the comment about, well, I'm trying to stay out here for 160. Look, the Cardinals had him change his workouts this offseason. They had him lifting less. They had him doing more plyometric stuff to be more flexible. For what reason? To stay on the field. That's why it shocked me that they were even like considering putting him in center.
Yeah.
Because you think about how like Dylan Carlson dives when he's out in center, or Newbar, or how much Bader dove when he's out in center. You're not seeing, I mean, we saw it opening weekend. Tyler was not diving for balls that he could have taken a chance to dive for. No outs, nobody on base.
Is that him not giving it 100% either, though?
I don't know. But after hearing that comment,
Absolutely.
You might think that now. But on the other end of the Cardinals saying, like, we got to have you out on the field, I kind of get where he's coming from. It was raining at that point. Right, like there's sides of this. Like, if you had pulled a hammy or something in that, would it have been worth it this early on in the season? I don't know. But if you want me to take a deep dive into where you think I think this is going, I can do that really easily, because I looked at a lot of this today, and it's not looking good for Tyler.
I know you did. But before we go there, let me ask, just straight up, are you, both of you, are you on Ollie's side or Tyler's side? Like, just pick one. Yeah, like, not yes or no, but Tyler or Ollie.
You want me to go?
Yes, go ahead.
I think I'm on Ollie's with this one. Just barely by a little. I keep going back and forth, but he did it last year with Bader, right? He called Bader out for the same reason. He wasn't hustling. If you're going to do it, like, you got to be consistent in doing it, though. So that's the thing with me where, okay, are you going to be doing it if Nolan's, and that's the tough thing with a play like this. It's not like he was running to first base on a ground out.
Yeah.
It's not like he just flamed him out not running out of ground out. He wouldn't have done that.
He would not.
He wouldn't have done that. This is to score a run, would have put you down to hard lineups coming up. So I get that reasoning. To kind of air that out a little bit. But on the other hand, it's kind of like Kyle said. I mean, is this something? And Tyler O'Neill said it. He came out and said, I think this could have been handled better. This could have been handled in-house. But at the same time, if he said that they had already talked, and what Ollie's saying in the post presser is not anything different than Tyler's already heard from him personally, I don't know why that would rub O'Neill so wrong.
Sure.
Other than his image of, it seemed like he was trying to defend his image of, I've come up in this league busting my butt in the minors, and, all those things that he said that was kind of seemed like was in defense of his work ethic and his full tilt as a player.
Kyle?
I will be on the manager's side on this one, just simply because he's the manager. I mean, if he's going to demand you to do something, that's what you need to do. If you want to play, you've got to do what the manager wants you to do. The caveat is, again, I wish it would have not been part of a post-game press conference and would have stayed in the locker room. But definitely on Ollie's side, there are times when you've got to slow down potentially to stay in for 162 games. That's when you run to first, not home.
Yeah, and so I would agree. I am on 100% on Ollie's side. I was surprised of his comments after the game, but also I found them very refreshing. The St. Louis Cardinals are very button-upped. Mike Schilt would have never.
Mike Matheny would have never.
Mike Matheny would have never.
Tony La Russa would have.
Yes,
and he has.
He has, and he would. And I felt it refreshing that thank you. And I've seen this both ways, though, online, and we might put a poll out there on Twitter, but people saying, like, I'm on Tyler's side and I'm on Ollie's side. So I wanted to check and see it with you guys if we're on the same page, but I'm 100% with Ollie. Now, let's transition to Josh's deep dive of today. Josh did a lot of research, and the question in our group chat today came up and was, what will happen to Tyler O'Neill? Is he going to be traded? Is that blown out of proportion? Is this anything real long term? I tweeted on That's a Winner podcast, not from my personal, but from That's a Winner podcast tweet, and I said, the outfield's full anyways. Congratulations, Tyler O'Neill. You're an Oakland A. Flippantly, jokingly.
Miami Marlin.
Whatever. And jokingly, the outfield is very full. If you're not willing to play hard, they can go and ship you elsewhere. I said that jokingly, but Josh, you have a little more than jokes.
Yeah, I mean, the history of this organization, and I said it today, it's a little bit petty, I mean, honestly, but it doesn't bode well for a player, especially in the last, let's say 5 to 10 years, if they're disagreeing with a coach or the front office. So let's just give just a couple of quick examples of this, right? I'll take you back to April 6, 2018. Tommy Pham, if you will remember, the first week of the season, Tommy had a pretty good 2017 the second half. He had a good 2016. He started to hit his stride after kind of struggling in the minors for a while with all the sight issues in his eyes and contacts and things that he had. He had a really good 2016 and 2017. They kind of like Tyler O'Neill thought they'd found somebody to cement out. I think he was playing in left field, right? He played center every once in a while, kind of like Tyler. Well, if you recall, first week of that season, Sports Illustrated released a big article or feature that they had on him, and Tommy proceeded to pretty much flame out all the front office, naming Mozeliak by name, that these guys never believed in me. If they did, they wouldn't have kept me in AAA, blah, blah, blah. And it was, I remember Mozeliak having to answer a lot of questions about it, and he was always, obviously somebody believed in him, he's here, we're glad he's doing well, blah, blah. 3 months later, July 31st, 2018, traded. Same season, just 3 months later. And honestly, almost the exact timeline that we're on now. It's April 6th today.
So put July...
mark the trade deadline down in your calendar there. June 12th, 2022, last year, Bader, benched for not hustling. Same thing. Right now, Bader, fan favorite one, just like Tommy Pham was kind of a fan favorite between 2016 and 17. Fans are starting to like him. And honestly, I kind of liked how he was just very brash and would, call people out and stuff. Bader benched for hustling.
And he brought energy.
Yes, exactly.
Unlike a lot of the other guys
he brought energy. June 12, 2022, Bader gets benched for not hustling. Now, Bader had great response about it. Immediately apologized. He immediately took ownership of it, said it wouldn't happen again. Didn't happen again. That's because he got traded 2 months later.
2 months later.
August 2nd, 2022 is when he got traded. Was the trade deadline? I think it was later. It was extended.
We started 2 weeks late.
It was extended last year. That's why that was later. So that was for Jordan Montgomery. And Bader had a good response to that. Didn't matter. Now I think Bader's, you could argue, was a little more the injuries he had going on. The plantar fasciitis was starting to flare up. All those things. We needed
a pitcher.
Yes, we needed a pitcher. The D was there.
Still do.
But the pettiest of all, man, might be October 10th, 2019. Randy Arozarena posts Instagram live video. Mike Schultz epic profanity-laced post-game speech after knocking the Braves out of the NLDS. It made Schultz look bad, I guess. I thought it was kind of funny. I thought it was a good little speech he had to fire up the team after that. But good old Randy doing the things that he does now. The undefeated 6-0 Tampa Bay Rays this season. He was traded just a couple months later, January 9th, 2020.
Same in the offseason of that time.
Yes.
Yeah. And I thought of that as well. Whenever Arozarena's happened, I thought, yikes, the young guy, like that's not good. But so you've broken this down. Now, do you believe that Tyler gets traded this season?
I do. I do think that he's going to get traded by the deadline because of this incident, because he didn't back down from it. And quite honestly, because I think he's going to get hurt again sometime between now and then. Now, I think the only way that he does not get traded is if he starts hitting bombs left and right, because then he can jog all you want, doesn't matter. And he does not get hurt. So if he doesn't miss,
or someone else doesn't get hurt, in the
right,
outfield.
Right, and they need him in there. Yeah. That's part of it too. But I those are going to be the two keys for him, and it might not be if or. It might need to be both. It might need to be on the field healthy and not missing any significant time between now and then, and hitting like he was in 2021. And the sad part of this, maybe the frustrating part as a fan, is the Cardinals, and I get it, right? They just never do it, but they never seem to trade guys at their peak.
Sure.
It would have made sense
Too late.
to trade Tyler O'Neill after 2021. Now you would say, well, why would they do that? He finished top 8 in MVP. He finally had a breakout season. What if you've got a star in your hands? Well, what if? Yes, but what if you've got a guy who can't stay on the field? I mean, we are yet to see Tyler O'Neill play more than 138 games a season.
Well,
that's his best year.
A lot of people at that time were talking about signing him to an extension.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted to, but it's the same thing you could look at right now. Okay, let's step back. Could have looked at for Paul DeYoung or Ledman Diaz whenever they did, or Jeremy Hazelbaker, like flashes in the pan to sell them at their highest.
Yep.
Or you could look at it right now in that category. To me, that is Brendan Donovan. It came from nothing, nowhere, and then all of a sudden it shined out. So what's the difference in that you should trade for what you got? Kyle, I'll ask you, is this something or nothing? Do you think he gets traded, or are we just blowing it out of proportion?
I mean, I think it largely, in my mind, depends upon the success of players like Dylan Carlson. Is Dylan Carlson going to hit 185, or is he going to return to form? I think there's obviously some more outfield depth there, but this is not a good look. But you talk about trade value. Let's go out and say that the guy doesn't hustle, he doesn't give 100%, and we'd like to give him to you. What are you going to give us in return? So that's not the best strategy to try to trade someone either. But I would probably tend to agree with Josh, depending upon if things don't get any better with this situation anytime soon. I would definitely say that they would look to move him, provided that there's someone showing that they can handle center field.
Yeah, and we just got a really good comment from BC. Is his name? It looks like he is.
Before you get to that, he's got a really good comment. To what you said, Kyle, I think that guy that can handle center field is Dylan Carlson. I think he's proved that
Absolutely.
over the last 2 years. He proved it when he got his shot the last 2 nights to start. I mean, he, at least defensively, I have no worries with him being in center field. It's just a matter of always if he can consistently bat from that left-handed side.
I'm going to get back to BC in a second. I'm going to agree with you. I thought before the season, I would rather see Dylan Carlson and Lars Nootbaar in center field before I see Tyler O'Neill. Or even Jordan Walker, we've talked about and previously, of going to be a center fielder because that's where he's athletic enough to do so. Tyler O'Neill would be third or fourth on my list to play actual center field.
Especially being injury prone.
And now even more so. After watching him play center field, he doesn't make the routes. At the game on opening day, fans around me go, Bader would have made that catch.
Oh, yeah.
Lay out for that.
I thought that a few times.
And so, that is, I don't think he's the center fielder, and I think that this proves that he is less valuable because he's going to be a left fielder. Now he's a gold glove left fielder, but still. Let me get now to BC. I'll pull it up. BC on Facebook says, here we are talking about a guy who demands a shot at center field from the manager, which he did. He thinks that he deserved it, right? He decides to play the World Baseball Classic. Good or bad, I don't know how you feel about that part, but you demand that you want to be center fielder, have a chance at it, and then you go leave and to go play in WBC. Some guy who can't stay on the field for 162, which we all know that to be true. He got caught dogging it, which he absolutely did. He got publicly corrected, and who's to say he hasn't been discussed before? And BC continues to go on. I can't read it while it's up.
A lot of wait and see philosophy for a 28-year-old bodybuilder who moonlights as an MLB player. Plenty of talent stunted in the pipeline, waiting on a severe case of what ifs.
Yeah, I don't think I can agree anymore with BC on that one.
I wouldn't say the moonlighting as a bodybuilder part to Tyler's face though.
No, I mean, or his dad. But I can't disagree. I think that everything on that is absolutely correct. Now, the WBC stuff, some people say, it's for your country versus other things. I don't know where I put on that part. Do I judge people for that part? I don't know. But I'm all with BC on that one.
Yeah, I mean, the WBC stuff, I think for Tyler specifically, it didn't make sense because you're a guy who had an injury-riddled year last year. You were frustrated by arbitration hearings, and then you didn't go out and prove it.
That's another part.
Injured. So,
how much is this to do with arbitration hearings as well? Is he upset because he didn't get what he wanted out of it as well? I think there's. Look, are we saying is it something or nothing? I think it's absolutely something. I think that he's unhappy, and there's some turmoil, and he's worried about being paid and lasting 160 games.
Those comments to me sounded like he's already thinking about 2025,
right? When
he's an unrestricted free agent.
Absolutely.
He's got 1 more year of arbitration next year. So to some degree, there's motivation to do really well. I mean, there should be motivation to do really well. These last 2 years, you want to make a bump in arbitration next year and then get to that free agency when you're still at, 29. He'll be around 28, 29 when he hits free agency. But those comments kind of sounded like, yeah, I'm probably not going to be here after 2 years anyways.
Right.
After 2 seasons.
Self-preservation.
Yeah, and that's never going to stand well with me. That's never going to stand well with most Cardinals fans, with any fans, when you feel like that. Again, you just look at the short history of the last 5 years. He's not in a good place. He's not in a good place because not only have you pissed your manager off and disagreed with him and pushed back, right?
Yeah.
Bader didn't even push back. Randy Arozarena didn't even push. Randy Arozarena was excited that they advanced in the postseason and posted a video. That was his only mistake. Mike Schilt, we didn't even get into. He's not a player, but disagree with the front office, right? And one of the first things I saw the day after the O'Neal comments, before the day game Wednesday when he was benched, who did they interview? John Mozeliak. Who did he back up? Ollie Marmol. Immediately backed up Ollie. So,
I think this happens in the real world. It's not saying that baseball isn't the real world, but in everyday life, that people think that they can't go on without them, but the baseball team and the fan, everything's going to go whether you're there or not. And John Mozeliak and Ollie Marmol are going to be in charge tomorrow, whether you're there or not. And it's going to just keep on rolling without you. Gene asks, or he says, arbitration in his statement of playing 160 games goes hand in hand. So his point is, he says that because arbitration is important based on how many games you're playing and how much money you're going to get paid. So he's thinking, again, about himself, self-preservation, instead of trying to score that run to be able to win the game. Yeah. Any other comments on that before we move on to the pitching staff? Not very exciting talking. All right, let's.
Excited to talk about that.
Let's move on. But first, we're going to talk about breakingt.com/that'swinnerpod. You can see they're a sponsor of us, and then on this one, you can scan that QR code, and you get that new Jordan Walker swing tee. It's Jordan Walker.
His first home run the other day.
His first career home run. He's in a red Cardinals jersey, swinging, looking pretty. Scan that. Someone already scanned the QR code, it tells me.
Nice.
Scan the QR code, and you can check out that tee. Anything that you buy through there, we get a piece of that, so we appreciate it. You can also go to our link tree and be able to check out the link tree and get to all of our things. Everything that we have, we get a discount for you. So 10% off. I think lids is up to 60% off some of it. Yep. So some things, there's just lots of different discounts that you can get. All right, let's move on now. Let's talk the pitching staff. We are 6 games in. Rotation has gone through one time, and Miles Michaelis has gone through twice. The pitching staff has the worst ERA in baseball. The pitching staff has the worst batting average against in baseball. Is it too soon to be concerned, or is this, I told you so? I'll let Kyle go first this time around.
Well, I was just thinking I was going to ask you guys to give me a profound statement about the pitching staff. So think about that. Here's mine. Adam Wainwright, who hasn't pitched an inning, is the best starter we have in his final season in the uniform. Are we going to beg him in October to come back and do it again? It's unbelievable. Right now, the Michaelis contract extension looks like a Paul DeYoung contract. We can't get people out. Our starters can't get people out. The offense at least has been decent, but my gosh, the offense is going to have to score 13 runs a game to win at this point. What is up with the pitching staff? It's not good. It's not good at all.
Hittable. I mean, hittable is the only word I can think of.
But, they designed this team to be hittable. That's
that might sink them with the shift being banned.
Absolutely. Every single guy in the lineup and the pitching staff is built to throw to contact. Well, Jack Flaherty is the closest to not be,
right,
but he can't throw strikes.
Matt's has some strikeout stuff. To be honest, it hasn't been the shift that's killing them because the ball can't stay out of the ballpark.
Yeah, got that right.
So I would encourage you guys. I'm looking here at Bernie Mikla's latest column over at scoopswithdannymac.com. Bernie's great, longtime St. Louis Post-Dispatch columnist. A lot of great old clips of him and Tony getting into it back in his days at the PD. But he writes some great stuff. He had a great article today about the pitching staff and just honestly how comically bad it's been for them to start. St. Louis starters ERA 7.14, ranks 28th in the majors. Let's see here. And here's the big problem, really, is the first 2 innings.
Absolutely.
The first 2 innings of these starts. I don't think there's been one game yet this season where we've gone to bat and not just been 0-0.
No,
I mean we've been down, I think, every game
and I
to
think
come to bat.
And I don't think it's just one run every game.
No.
either.
Well, I've got it here. Bernie's got the numbers. In the first 2 innings of their 6 starts, Michaelis, Flaherty, Montgomery, Matz, and Woodford. This is what we have here. 12 innings, 20 earned runs for 15 ERA,
Not good.
28 hits, 7 walks, 2 hit batters, only 9 strikeouts, and 71 batters faced. That's a 12.7% strikeout rate.
Awesome.
In the first 2 innings, opponents have plastered the Cardinals for a 467 batting average, 521 on base percentage, and 850 slugging. League average is 440 or something, and an OPS of 1.371. Other than that, everything was peachy, Bernie says.
So
It's the first 2 innings have been killing us.
I'll pull up this comment from Donald Glenn on YouTube. Yes, completely too soon to worry. Now,
It's the first week of the season, right? This is the Tony quote.
and I get that part as well. But if the worry coming into the season wasn't pitching, then
We might feel like that.
we might feel like that.
But
Like,
every fan from here to everywhere was crying, why aren't we going after
Absolutely.
pitching?
Now,
we
if-
said that for the last 2 years.
if the lineup wasn't doing great in hitting, I would go, pump the brakes. It's early. But whenever they are having issues at exactly what we expected them to have issues at, that's when I go, okay. I know they're going to do better than they are now, right? The only thing they're going to do is go up from here. But I think they're better than what has happened. But the problem still is there of what I'm worried about going forward and then giving up too many hits. And some of it's soft contact, but like you said, it doesn't matter that they're still giving up hits and there's no shift, and and we're not as talented in the outfield as we were previously either. The offense, the infield is as best as there is in all of Major League Baseball, but the outfield no longer is one of the top outfields. Kyle, go ahead. I see.
Well,
you.
just wanted to jump on, and I agree with that comment as well. It is a little too soon, and I should have done some more homework. I was trying to do it in the background here and just couldn't get it figured out because it's too massive of a question. But the Cardinals' first 2 series have been against playoff teams. It's been at home. I don't know that there is much worse of a first 2 series schedule than what the Cardinals have gone through. So there is that argument to be made. Certainly, we're getting ready to hit a stretch of Colorado, Pittsburgh, Arizona. Thank you very much. But it is a rough part of the schedule. It is early, but there's got to be some semblance of some alarm bells sounding, at least with the pitching staff. Even Ryan Helsley coming in the game to try to close it in that first opening day game against Toronto. Every time he threw a ball that wasn't 100 mile an hour, it was hit for an extra base hit, it seems. So it is a systemic issue at the start of the season. But, hey, maybe we're up against some of the better teams too. Agree, it's too early, but it is, at least at this point, proven to be a concern.
Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned playoff teams, in which they are, but we also go to Milwaukee, which is not supposed to have a very good offense.
And their offense has started off very hot.
And
5-1.
they're
Pitching's been great,
5-1.
like people expected.
Their pitching has been good, but they've been plastering the ball. They destroyed the Mets 10-0.
Swept them.
$300 million plus whatever it is, payroll for the Mets. Like, I'm worried going into the weekend now because I thought that this would, I can't wait to see Jordan Walker hitting that place for one. But like, I'm more worried now because this is another series that we're already down 3 games, which, it's 6 games in, but we're down 3 games, and then you're going there for 3 more with unknown of what's going on. I mean,
already
it's worrisome
from them in the division. I mean, it's our third worst record in the National League at this point. That's not great either.
But also to the point of good teams, the Braves are very good. The Braves are expected to win their division, and they're expected. A lot of people picked them to win the World Series. So I think the Braves are very, very good, and they're going to be good for a very long time with the contracts they have set up as well.
Here's the problem, though, with me with this. Well, these are tough teams to play to start out. These are the teams that we've said for years. Well, we think we can be with them. We think we compete. We think we can be one of the top 2 or 3 or 4 teams in the NL. This rotation is not scaring the Mets. It's not scaring the Braves. It's not scaring the Dodgers, the Padres, the Phillies, whoever you want to name. It's not right now. None of these names are. There's not really one name unless Jack starts pitching like he did in 2019. So the frustrating thing for me with that comment is you say you think you can compete with these teams. I mean, the Braves, man, extremely good. That offense is – Matt Olson looks like he's going to hit 50-something bombs this year. He hit like 9 home runs in spring training, which I know it's spring training, but that guy looks like he's going to be massive for them. And Freddie Freeman never had that kind of power. So their offense is fantastic. But the problem for me, obviously the pitching, number one. But facing the Braves this series, man, I mean, no Spencer Strider, no Max Fried, who's hurt. You face 2 spot start, no name, freaking rookies making their major league debut in the Cardinals.
That never
yet
happens.
Again.
That never happens. The Cardinals don't have issues with no-name players pitching.
If you haven't seen that, you haven't been watching the last 10 years. There's that's the most maddening stat to me over the last 10 years of watching these Cardinals teams. And it's crazy because we've had lots of different players and lots of different lineups come through in these last 10 years. I mean, Arenado, Goldie, these are guys like we should be obliterating these guys, especially with this offense this year, and they did nothing against spot start. Not even top. It's not like these are like top prospect guys. I mean, I have a close friend from my fraternity in college that is a Braves fan. We were texting. He's like, man, I've seen your guys' offense against, the Blue Jays this weekend. I'm really nervous. Like, we got 2 spot star guys. I was like, oh, you guys are golden. I told him, I was like, what, you're calling up 2 random rookies? We're going to do nothing. He's like, no, I know you guys kind of every once in a while. I'm like, no, you don't understand. We're going to do nothing. Those 2 games. I said that Sunday when he was messaging me. Like, it's laughable at this point how we cannot hit these no-name rookies making their major league start. And Charlie Morton we hit around okay, and he's still a really good pitcher. But it was alarming to me that the offense could literally do nothing. I mean, Jordan Walker was the offense Wednesday.
I'm going to ask, is that alarming because what they've done the other 5 games, or what they did
against really good pitchers too?
Yes,
great.
Because against the Blue Jays, 3 really good pitchers that they went against, and they scored 9, 4, and 9 runs. So in that series, they scored 22 runs in 3 games. Awesome, right? And then they scored 9, 4, 9, then 4 again against the Braves in the opening game as well. Like the offense the last 2 games did not do well, but the 4 before that were great. So is it alarming, or is it just we can't be that good for an extended amount of time? I mean, you know what I mean? Like you're not going to be able to put up the numbers that they put up the entire season.
Well, and that's what makes the pitching staff stuff so alarming. Right. It's like you said, Kyle. They can't. We can't put up 8, 9, 10 runs every game. It's not going to happen. Like there's got to be a point that 3 or 4 or 5 runs can be enough. And I worry with this rotation as it is that it can on a consistent basis.
Absolutely.
I'll throw in one more point here. PowerRankingsGuru.com, who ranks the difficulty level of games played so far, puts the Cardinals as having the 4th most difficult schedule in baseball to this point, behind the Nationals, Diamondbacks, and Rockies. And it also says the strength of schedule remaining. Yeah, it's way early for that. We have the 3rd easiest schedule remaining in all of baseball. A little early for that stat, but I think the difficulty level certainly there was early.
Oh yeah,
that I knew. This season, the Cardinals have the easiest schedule according, based on last year's standings, all across the board. So that is something to look forward to, because obviously we're going to see every team now, like a different schedule. And we took away some games from the Pirates, took away games against the Reds, took away all those games against the Cubs. So like we're going to see less of those, but we're going to see other teams that we normally don't see. BC has another question. He says he's not too worried about it right now, but my question is, he says, how is it going to be fixed? You're not going to just send Matz or Michaelis or someone down into the bullpen.
No.
How does it get fixed in the future is what he means, like, in a month from now. Like, what's going to happen? Are you going to call up Graceffo? Are you going to call up Liberatore, I think is the most likely.
He might be the first man up.
Or how about you start Zach Thompson?
I think he's too much of a, and I wanted to talk about this in a little bit. Maybe, our biggest surprises
Yeah.
so far, maybe offensive side and pitching side, but Zach Thompson for me is one of those. I mean,
He's been
too good
the only bright spot in the
he's
pitching.
too
staff.
good of a weapon in the bullpen. I think outside of Helsley, Verhagen's been really impressive too, but outside of Helsley, he's like the guy I trust most out of the bullpen right now, and he's your only reliable lefty guy.
Sure.
with no Cabrera.
What if he can
you know.
pitch 6 innings in that same manner? Isn't that?
But can he? I don't know. He's
did
really
it-
only
he
got
did in the
2
minors.
pitches.
He did it in the minors.
but he walked a crap ton of people. And I think the tough thing with him is he's got 2 pitches. He's got that fastball, which is up to like 98, 99 now, which is great. And he's got that like filth. He's like a Wayno curveball from the left side. It's nasty.
Okay, so I guess back to BC's question: how will it change? You're not putting. So is the only way this team changes pitching staff wise? Is it when someone gets injured? Is it at the trade deadline? Is that the only way? Like they're not going to move any of the guys. If you think about it, who's in a starting pitching rotation? Any of those guys get bumped for a start for someone else to give a chance? Is it going to happen?
Oh, I think if Jake Woodford, if he has another really rough start, I could see him as the only one out of the 5 right now to say, all right, we're going to throw you back in the bullpen, maybe get Liberatore up here, let him try a start.
And Liberatore's done well.
Yeah,
so far,
yes.
so far.
But by then, you might have Wayno back. Depending on if it's a couple more starts that you need, you might have one more Woodford start if it's bad, and then you call up Liberatore. Yeah, I really don't see the rotation getting changed a whole lot unless it's a trade or an injury.
Yeah.
And if it's an injury, it's not going to be an immediate trade because those don't happen right now.
Right,
Those just
but
don't
then that
happen
will
right now.
make someone else come up.
Yes, from the
Graceffo
minors.
or
Graceffo or Liberatore
or-
would be who I would think.
Hudson gets another go. Kyle, what do you think?
Well, I tell you, I think Tony La Russa created the closer position, so why not say Ali Marmol is going to create the bullpen? There is no starter position. We're just going to throw out there somebody that's going to throw strikes day in, day out. What other
They do have the opener,
what
right?
other
People do the
options
opener.
we have?
You could do Thompson as an opener. I would be intrigued by that.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's frustrating that we probably the biggest regret of the offseason, I think, for me as a fan personally, was there was no pitching upgrade.
Where have we heard that before?
Yeah, how many years in a row have we said that, and how many years in a row does it bite us in the butt? Here it is again, and we're talking about it 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, and I think it's all banked on how good they think the offense is going to be. And I did hear on somewhere, I don't remember if that was today or yesterday, but like if you look at the teams that were left in the playoffs last year, it wasn't the team with the best offense. It was the team with the best pitching staffs.
1-2 punch,
Yeah.
almost ace co-ace.
Right.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
They had those starters that were the ones that kept going. And the Cardinals, I was having a chat today in the DMs of the That's a Winner podcast. I can't think of the name. He listens to the show. He's probably listening now. I don't even know his real name, but he said, are we worried about an ace? And I said, well, I'm worried about an ace, a second, a third, and a fourth. Like we don't have any of those. None of these. Our 1, 2, 3, and 4 probably aren't starting in 1, 2, 3, or 4 spots in the majors for any other team. So like if you take one of these guys, if one of these 1, 2, 3s from a different team, they're our number one, and that's where the difference is in the worry is, and that doesn't matter. That even if these guys start competing and start doing well, that doesn't change. They still have a ceiling, and they still are what they are, and we can expect them to be is not great. We're going to expect them to do okay, and that's what I think they hope. The front office is hoping that they get to is just what they're supposed to be, and then live for the offense to kill it the rest of the way.
Yeah, and I don't know if I see that. I mean, we don't have an ace. We definitely don't have a co-ace. I think the guy with ace potential in the rotation right now might be Jack, just because he's the
Absolutely.
only one that's shown it. Mike List to me is kind of the extension that they gave him and how he's pitched the last couple of years. I would say is pretty comparable to Wayno, like a really solid 3 that you're going to expect him to get to 200 innings, and sub 4 ERA, around 3.5 maybe, which is great. Like you need that, but we've got a rotation full of 3s and 4s,
Absolutely.
and their ceiling's maybe a 2. Aside from Jack, because he's
Right.
shown it before, but Jack also
it's been
walked.
a while.
Jack walked 7 people, but oddly, funny enough, he's the only starter to go to not give up any runs
and no hits. By
Yeah.
the way. But his best time was in 2019, and that's been
It's never going to get better than that for
it's
him.
it's a long way off from now. But I completely agree he has the ability, but I don't know if it's been too late.
But even if you get him back to that, you're still missing that co-ace,
Absolutely.
right? The Phillies had it, in their rotation, blanking on their rotation, of course.
Nola.
The Astros have like 3 of them.
Yeah.
Even back to when they won it with Verlander and they had Greinke and all those guys. I mean, you have
And trash cans.
and trash cans. You have to have, I think, at least 2. Like, we feel like every time these guys are on the mound, we have a really good chance to win. At least 2 of those.
Well, if you go back to the 2011, last time the Cardinals won the World Series, when Chris Carpenter was taking the mound in the playoffs, I felt great, even if he was on 3 days rest.
Yep.
It was a bulldog out there, and Chris Carpenter was going to get it done. And I think you cannot say that about anybody right now for the St. Louis Cardinals.
No. And even that team, you had another guy emerge to be like that for you, and it was Kyle Loesch. Remember, we had some really good years of Kyle Loesch. There was probably 2 or 3 year in a row there where Kyle Loesch was like, he was really good. I mean, he was a 2 right there with Carpenter. And that's what he did in the playoffs for us that year. And then you sprinkle in those guys that can get you like a Jaime Garcia or Jake Westbrook, like they were then, that can get you through 5 or 6 innings and keep you in the game. And by keep you in the game, I mean quality starts, right? 3 runs or less, like keep you in the game to let your offense not feel like, great, we're going to bat down 4 again. I mean, you're not. How much more pressure do you think Arenado, Goldschmidt, all those guys are putting on themselves when they come up to the plate the first
Down
time that
3.
night and they're down 3 or 4 already?
Absolutely.
Like, there's no way that you're not going to be pressing.
Yeah.
Hey,
Kyle.
BC's last comment kind of sums that up for me. He said this offense does not need a number 1, but they do have to have 5 number 3s. I think that's right on, right spot on.
BC's bringing the heat.
Yeah.
That's 3
Some
good
good
comments.
comments.
One-liners tonight.
Yeah, I mean he's got them. We have other comments. They're just not as good. So I'll just keep on bringing them up for BC.
Yeah. And
okay.
I do think with that comment, I do think they could have 5 number 3s, because I look at Montgomery, I look at Matz and Michaelis. I think all 3 of those guys could be number 3 type guys. Flaherty, we've talked about, he has potential to be your ace, but a 2 or 3. The wild card is the 5th person in this rotation. Waino, Woodford, Liberatore, whoever it is. Like, what are they? Are they just going to pitch bad every time, like a 4 or 5? Because if so, which at that point, those 4 or 5 guys, 5th guys in rotation aren't really pitching much in the playoffs anyways.
All right, let's move on. Again, let's pull up our newest sponsor. How about this one? This one I'm a big fan of. Hide-It mounts.
Nice.
I have Hide-It mounts on the other side of this wall. There are 9 of them, right, that are holding my bats up. The horizontal ones, like you see there, $22. Scan the QR code on your screen. You can be able to get to those Hide-It mounts. Hide-It mounts are good for baseball, sports, all kinds of different things, but also if you're into gaming, also if you want to hide your electronics behind your TVs, all kinds of stuff like that. They just hide all of the consoles and all that smart stuff. I also have vertical ones. I think I have a vertical one right here. Hold on. Vertical bats. I have multiple of those as well that you can hide. That just hangs the bats. So there's all kinds of sports stuff, but obviously I'm partial to the bats because I collect bats from every Major League Baseball stadium. So I have a lot of bats.
And look at that price.
Look at that price, $11.
Not bad at all.
That's great, right? $11 for one of those. Which is awesome. I love Hide-It mounts, but scan the QR code or go to our link tree and be able to find that later as well. Okay, let's move on to some good news. I don't know. The offense has been elite. It's been the best in baseball for the first 4 games it was. But I want to talk specifically about 2 guys. We can talk about the other guys because they've all done. Everyone has gotten a hit pretty much every game that started. But I'm going to talk about 2 guys specifically. Jordan Walker. And being overshadowed since spring training is Nolan Gorman. Nolan Gorman leads the team or is in second place on the team in pretty much every offensive category. He either is first or second, and he's either first or second behind Paul Goldschmidt. If he's not leading it, Paul Goldschmidt's leading it. And in the majors, he's top 5 in almost every single category as well. Of those two, what is more surprising for you so far of their start? Is it Jordan Walker with his 6-game hitting streak and his 890-something OPS? Or is it Nolan Gorman with more walks than he has strikeouts and like a 1,200 OPS, something crazy? Like, what is, Kyle, I'll let you go first. Which is more surprising so far for you, Jordan Walker or Nolan Gorman?
To me, I think it's got to be Nolan Gorman at this point, coming off of where last season ended for him. I think that's been the greatest surprise to see the adjustments he's been able to make. And really for Walker, I think what's going to be interesting is as teams get more data on him and get more analysis on his swing, his approach, the pitches that he chases in and out of the zone, as more of that data comes, how much of an adjustment is he going to be able to make? It's been a fantastic start. We hope it continues. We hope we let 2 superstars go last year to retirement, and he's the next era of superstar in a Cardinal uniform. I really am hoping that. He's proven so far he can be that. The question for me is, will he be able to stand it as these teams start to make these cybermetric-based adjustments and things of that nature against his swing?
I'm gonna make your screen a little bigger. I'm gonna look at it. I just think that your everything going on back there is looking really good.
Oh yeah.
You got the
Look at
Cardinals
the
calendar,
great.
but then you got Tyra Buss. If you don't know who Tyra Buss is, over his other shoulder over there, one of the greatest high school basketball players of all time, literally, in all the stats, and played at IU. And you got even some other stuff up there. I mean, looking good, by the way. Just wanted to point that out. Looking good. Oh, just keep on going. Just keep on. Oh, Jack Buck up there.
Nice.
It's all looking real good on screen.
Jack's the man. Jack will always be the man, right?
Absolutely. Josh, I'll let you go answer the question now. Your background looks terrible, by the way.
Yes. Well, I'm just on the other side of you. It's just that's what I've got right now. Maybe I do one of those like beach background photos, those stock photos. I'm gonna go with Jordan Walker here, and because you said most surprising,
Yes.
right?
Like, well, yeah. Which one has surprised you more?
I think I'm gonna say Walker because Gorman consistently throughout the entire spring was hitting like this. Really, I mean, we saw really early on that he'd made the adjustments to the high fastball. He was striking out less. Seems like no shift's going to be really nice for him. He's already gotten. I mean, I saw it when I was there Sunday. He got a couple hits, or at least one. No, actually, that was the game he hit 2 home runs. He might have had a hit through there too. It was the other day he had 2 hits through that right side that probably normally would have been outs. So that's going to help his batting average. But I think it's least surprising for me with him because he showed it all spring. And it seemed like it was going to carry over, which it has, which is great. So I'm going to go with Walker just because Walker had that hot start last probably 10 to 12 days of spring, not so great.
Yeah.
He kind of went in looking like he, not really knowing honestly what we're going to get from him. Was he overmatched? Was there something with his shoulder? I mean, he's been fantastic, man. Hitting every game. He's only struck out 3 times. Which is great.
He is hitting the ball so hard. Do you know how hard he's hitting the ball?
He leads the majors in most. I stole it. Most hits over 100 miles per hour. I did see that. Sorry, I saw that today.
He did the most hits.
You love
in
that.
all of baseball over 100 miles an hour.
I mean, you're in Trout, Stanton, Judge. You're in that kind of echelon when you're up in there hitting the ball like that.
I will say I am not a baseball savant. I am not a hitting coach or anything, but I watch all the time, and I know I've study everything that I ever watch. And I think that he's putting his foot down just a little soon. Like whenever he hits the ball into the outfield versus when he's lining or grounding the ball out, his foot is coming down just a hair soon.
Yeah.
So he's getting just a little on top of the ball and he's still crushing it. It's just a little on top of the ball, which is keeping the ball low, which we talked about is not a worry because he's hitting it 110 miles an hour.
You hit the ball hard. Hitting line drives, hit the ball hard, you're gonna start getting more good results.
Right.
What I'm really excited for is like we've talked about when he starts getting more loft on these.
Yeah. When he figures
because
out
his first home
angle.
run, I mean, it was 106 miles per hour. Like we're like batting, it's just because he's hit balls 110, 112. It was a line drive shot. I mean, it was a Matt Holliday home run.
Yeah.
It was kind of what it reminded me of. Nothing wrong with it. It's a home run. Home run's a home run. He hit the ball hard. But when he starts getting some real loft on some of these, like maybe this weekend in Milwaukee, it could be really fun.
In Colorado after that.
Yeah, it could be really fun to watch how far he hits some balls. But he's hitting 333, man. 360 on base. Doesn't have any walks. So that on base is kind of being carried by having 8 hits already in 6 games. Extra base hits are starting to come along. He's got 2 doubles now, the home run, but early on it was singles. But his OPS is over 900 right now.
Yeah,
I mean, you can't ask for much more. He's 20 years old.
Absolutely. And so I answer my own question. What is more surprising to me? It is Jordan Walker. Now, as you know,
you've been saying that Nolan Gorman is going to be a superstar.
As I was going to say, as you know, this is a pro Nolan Gorman household, and my 2-year-old has now chants Noman Goman as he comes to the plate.
Side note,
he gets
for 36 straight minutes at the ballpark.
Yeah, he did at the ballpark on opening day. Noman Goman, Noman. Yeah,
that was great.
And then whatever, maybe the game you went to, maybe that Saturday game. Yeah, because they had Friday off, so he slid into home. Nolan Gorman did, and he was safe on the field, and they overturned it. Well, then now my son slides on the floor and says, "No, who?" And I say, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm Noman Goman sliding into home." And I said, "Are you safe or out?" And he goes, "I'm out," because he was out on that play.
Well, that's great.
But the point is, Nolan Gorman is not surprising to me. Everything that we have seen in the minors is exactly what he's doing now. He hit 30 home runs between the 2 leagues last year. We knew he was going to strike out 30% of the time because that's what he profiles to do. And he's still kind of sort of on that same, because he hasn't had as many at-bats as other guys because he didn't start against the lefty. But he's still hitting the ball better than he has. His batting average is the best on the team, or second best behind Goldie, actually. His OPS plus is out of there. His OPS is out, just crazy. He's doing everything we expected. Actually, he's doing a little better than I expected, but I love to see it. Jordan Walker, what he has done has been surprising to me because of all the pressure.
Jumped AAA.
Yeah, all the pressure. Like as you said, he's slow start at the end of spring training.
Yeah,
he had
sputtered a bit,
and I thought maybe he wasn't even going to make the team.
Yeah,
and Michael Gersh said on the radio that there was people in the camp that said he should go to AAA. There was a conversation of where should he go, what should we do with him, and it
wouldn't have been surprising, I don't think, to us if they had started him out at AAA.
And so then he gets the call up. And obviously, if you're going to call him up, he's starting, and he started every game, which I thought he was going to get a day's rest here or there. I thought it was going to happen, and he hasn't.
They're throwing him right in, man.
And here's one other part of it. Whenever he comes to the plate and he's 0 for 3 for the day, he doesn't then have a bad bat.
That happened Wednesday. He started that game off 0 for 2, I think, 0 for 2 or something. And
he doesn't then worry
bad
more.
Strikeout, hit a double and a home run.
You're exactly right. Like it's like you can.
He doesn't look overwhelmed. The moment doesn't look too big.
And he takes that moment and he makes it about making that one at bat instead of compounding an issue of 0 for 3 and making it worse or having a bad day. He just separates it, and he's able to come through every day. Like he's 20 years old. Like I thought the overhype train we can get in trouble with, because he's going to have an 0 for 20. It's going to happen, and you people can't treat him like, if
Goldie can have an entire terrible September.
Let's not talk about that.
To think Jordan Walker's not going to struggle at some point is crazy. So for me, most surprising, definitely Jordan. Most impressive, definitely Nolan Gorman.
Yeah, all right.
1446 OPS for Nolan Gorman.
I told you it's
875 slugging.
Every number, he's number 3 in the bigs with OPS. Like everything is just crazy. BC again has a question. Why has Nolan Gorman not been given an outfielder's mitt? The second base experience was better than adequate, but with the development of Donovan, is Gorman DHing until Goldie calls it a career after 2025? Here's my thought on this question, and I've thought about this about Goldie in his position. I always thought that was going to be Jordan Walker's spot. I really did. I thought, okay,
first base.
Yeah, first base was where we're going to make sure when Goldie's done, like that's where Jordan Walker's going to slide in.
I don't think that's the case now.
No.
Not with his arm, what they've seen in the outfield.
I agree that, and he threw a ball over 100 miles an hour from the outfield. My question is, now this may be, I don't know. How do we know Donovan is not an Aledmus Diaz, is not Paul DeYoung? How do we not know that he's going to be how he's going to be around for the next 5 years doing what he's doing? He was not a big prospect, kind of like Tommy Edman, not a big prospect, but then he came out and played well out of the gate. How do we know that Donovan's going to press on and be good for an extended amount of time? is that just what everyone just expects now because he did it for a season? Because I've been let down after seeing one good season many a times. Speaking of Tyler O'Neill earlier.
What do you think,
Well,
Kyle?
I think you've got to have some semblance of question mark there. I think you're right to question that. I the track record is good, but has been good so far. You don't know how much longer that's going to last. I think the way contracts have seemed to go for the Cardinals at times, it's as soon as he signs that lucrative contract, then it's done. It's been impressive to see what he's been able to do in a short sample size, and you hope that continues. But we've seen many a player that has gone the other way, certainly, and maybe O'Neill is next in that department. But you hope that consistency continues. It seemed to last throughout much of the season last year. So kudos to him, and hope it keeps going.
And to be honest, I thought that he was going to be a super utility usage type player. Talking about Donovan, I thought that's where he was going to be used.
Hadn't been the case so far. He's been your starting second baseman.
Absolutely, he's been that spot. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think Nolan Gorman has only been a DH. Has he played any in the field?
I don't think he's played the field yet. No.
Yeah, so that's what they tried to say.
Because they started Motter
You're right.
on the getaway day the other day.
So last year all they said was they didn't want Gorman to be the everyday DH because they wanted him to stay in the game, stay in the mind, and keep reps going. Now they've switched to the DH. Makes you think they've had a change of philosophy of what they were thinking before, because I really thought that Donovan was going to fill in. I thought he was really going to be, if Tommy day off or a Gorman day off on matchups. I just thought that's where they were going to use him, but that has not been the case whatsoever.
I think if you hadn't seen Alec Burleson taking advantage of the chances he's gotten and hitting pretty well, he's barreling up a lot of balls. He's hitting the ball hard.
Alec Burleson has been the biggest surprise to me.
I think if you hadn't seen that, I think we would have already seen Donovan out in left field, especially given what just happened with Tyler O'Neill getting benched. So I don't think that's the case for him as a super utility guy. Honestly, I think what's changed their mind about Gorman mainly being a DH is Mason Wynn. You look at what he did in spring training and how many comments about his bat and how far along it looked. I mean, he looked incredible.
He looked like he was almost ready.
I think because of his timeline being jumped up, it will not surprise me if we see what we saw with Jordan Walker this year with Mason Wynn next spring.
Then we're going to have the same infield problem that we had outfield problem.
Well, so I think what you're going to see is Mason Wynn obviously go to shortstop, Tommy go back to being a Gold Glove second baseman, and then that's when Brendan Donovan can be your super utility guy, or you can float him out in a package in a trade for some starting pitching or something. And I think you could still be fine having Nolan Gorman as a backup second baseman, third baseman, DH, and you can look at maybe Burleson or Juan Yepes or whoever else as another DH option if you don't want. But it's pretty plain to see that. I mean, Gorman's strength is his bat,
absolutely,
by far. So either way, he's going to be in the lineup.
He has a great arm as well.
Yeah.
He has a strong arm.
He showed that when he was playing as a third baseman in the minors.
You look at Donald's comment there. Donovan's made them change philosophy. I think the bat has definitely, been the highlight, as you guys were talking about there. The bat has been the highlight, and they're going to run with that while they can. And we've got other people that can handle the defense, so let the kid swing.
Yeah, and he was previously all about on base percentage, and he had no walks before yesterday's game all season, which was out of normal for him, and for last year's stats that he was on base. But he also is hitting the ball harder, further than he has, and having more
selling out for a little more power. He's got 2 walks and 5 strikeouts at this point.
Right, which is reverse of if you just gave those stats, I'd tell you that's Gorman, not Donovan.
Oh yeah.
In that scenario. So I think he's selling out more for power because who leads the team in home runs is Donovan and Gorman.
Yeah.
So, the difference of that side.
It's going to be interesting because I think what allures you the most with Brendan Donovan from last year was that 394 on base percentage in 126 games. That's extremely impressive.
That's why he's batting first.
Yes. So I don't know if they entirely, I think it's great that he's gone to the hockey puck knob bat, that he's worked on his bat speed, bring more power. Definitely would be nice to to have your starting second baseman hit more than 5 home runs like he did last year. But I don't know if they entirely are going to want him to sell out for power to the point where he's chasing pitches and he's not drawing those walks. Get 320 OBP not right now. Not great. That's not what you're going to want for your leadoff hitter for sure. Unless you're going to be Curtis Granderson and hit 35 home runs as a leadoff guy, and I don't think Brandon Donovan's going to be doing that. So I don't think it would surprise me if he has another pretty good season, but not as good maybe as last year in terms of on-base percentage. So maybe he's got more power, but he's not quite, as high in the on-base department. It wouldn't surprise me maybe if they use him as kind of trade bait, just because of the timeline. Wins jumped up. Obviously, Tommy's going nowhere. But organizationally, everybody seems to love Donovan. And watching him, I'll tell you who he reminds me, I think, the most is probably Skip Schumacher.
Yeah.
Just in terms of a gamer, always hustling. Skip, I don't think I ever saw Skip's helmet fly off when he ran the bases, which it just seems like
Skip never had much hair.
It seems like Donovan just needs to get a helmet that fits better.
A chin strap. Maybe a chin strap.
Chin strap. The old T-ball chin strap helmets. But he's a gamer, can play everywhere. He's literally that guy you look at the bench and say, hey, I need you to run out to left field. Great. I need you to run out to first base. He'll do it, as we did last year. That's why he won the utility gold glove. You win with guys like that. You need guys like that. You need guys like that in the playoffs. They can have big moments. Skip had big moments.
Absolutely.
For us in 2011. Those guys matter. You definitely need those guys. So they can find a way to float him around, especially if you wind up trading one of these outfielders, which I think if we're talking about if you had to put your money on anybody, any position being traded right now, it's going to be one of these outfielders.
Right. But to the point that we made earlier, like sell high, Donovan may be at his peak
right.
that you ever see. And then that may be hard pill for people to swallow if that happened right now. But I also think if you think Mason Wynn comes up next season, then I think that the time to sell would be now on Donovan personally. A lot of people may not like that take, but that to me, if that's what you think is going to happen, you're going to have the exact same issue that you have in the outfield, and you just want to have the best guys ready to go. All right, well, let's do one more of these. We'll talk about Jersey Flock. JerseyFlock.com/That's a Winner Pod. The Tommy Edman Cardinals jersey is on Jersey Flock. Scan that QR code. $54.99 for a jersey. You can get it in the white, the red, the blue, as you see there. And also, Josh has on his new
Wilson Contreras here,
the Saturday jersey.
The Saturday cream, yeah.
Here's the Wilson Contreras.
Nice. They turn out they're nice. Take a little while to ship to you.
They take a long while. So if you want a jersey for the postseason run, go ahead and get that now.
But they are really good quality for the price. I will say that.
They absolutely are. $54.99. Great quality for the price. Jersey Flock, you can scan that QR code or go to our link tree later as well. And then I'll also plug one more, which is lids.com.
Nice.
Lids.com has all kinds of stuff, but this apparel I selected for this one is a Nike zip up for $69.99. There's a discount code that goes in there as well for That's a Winner Pod. Gets you some percentage off. It goes anywhere from 10% to 60% off along the way. Just want to mention all those sponsors again. We're brought to you by Jersey Flock, Lids.com, Breaking Tea, and Hide It Mounts. Find all of our links on our link tree. Follow us on Facebook and on YouTube. Subscribe and Twitter as well at That's a Winner Pod. So now I'll let Kyle intro this. Kyle, all three of us met Landon in St. Louis on the final day of the regular season last year. Sat with him through the entire game, and he sparked Kyle's interest because he knew more baseball than most adults that Kyle had talked to, and Kyle will talk baseball with anyone. So I'll let Kyle intro this, and then we'll get to the video of Landon that Kyle and he recorded in his studio in Mount Carmel, Illinois at Wabash Valley College. So Kyle, take it away.
Yeah, so got the chance to meet Landon Atkins over at Busch Stadium. He was there with his grandma watching a game. I understand that's an annual tradition for them. He just struck me as a smart 12-year-old kid talking Cardinal baseball, and he was able to talk Cardinal baseball well beyond his years, as you're going to find out here in just a minute. Hi to Landon and his family. He's watching right now. I know. I just texted him a moment ago, said, hey, we're coming to you. So I hope you enjoy the interview that I did with him here just a couple of weeks ago, right before the start of the regular season. He's going to impress you with his knowledge of Cardinal baseball for such a young age, and by golly, raise your kids like Landon's parents raised him. Be good, smart, intelligent Cardinal fans. Take a look at this.
Podcast, we are pleased to have a friend of the podcast. Landon Atkins is with us. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Sure.
Hey, so tell everybody where and how we met last year.
I'm from Wentzville, Missouri, about 45 minutes out of St. Louis, where the Cardinals play, and I met Kyle at the Cardinals game in the last game of the year with Albert and Pujols and Wainwright playing.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool moment seeing the last game at Busch Stadium for Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina, and we kind of got to share that moment together. And then, as we were talking, Landon impressed me so much with his knowledge of the Cardinals and baseball that we kind of hit it off, and we got to talking and figured out that here in my hometown of Mount Carmel, Illinois, you have family.
Yes, I do.
So here he is on his spring break week from school to kind of check out our television studio that we operate out of here, and thought we'd bring him on the podcast and talk a little bit about Cardinal baseball. So as we're recording this, today is the day that the Cardinals sign an extension with Miles Michaelis. And so tell us your thoughts about that, because you and I kind of share some of the same ideas about that.
So I think he's definitely getting overpaid, getting $20 million a year, $40 million for 2 years. It's almost like a superstar contract, which is he hasn't proved himself well. He probably lost about 9 games last year. So I think Jack Flaherty might deserve that money, maybe, but not Michaelis really. I think if he can pitch well this season and prove himself, I think he definitely gets that money. But
he's got to be healthy too.
Yeah. I think sometimes health is a problem. Sometimes just him not pitching well. In that playoff game, I think everyone had good faith in him. They're like, okay, he's got this, but he didn't pitch very well. I guess he only gave up 1 run, but you saw a lot of hits, and him only going 4 innings, and with this Cardinals bullpen, they need some better pitching, and I think that would help a lot.
Couldn't agree more that the Cardinals need some more pitching, but one of the big offseason acquisitions was the new catcher, the guy whose jersey you've got on today.
Yeah.
Talk about Wilson Contreras and what you think he'll do for the Cardinals.
I think that he's definitely always got 5-year contract, 6 year. I think that since he's got that big of a contract, I think it's a good contract, $80 million and 5 years. And the fact that I think he's going to give us almost like a Pujols season, but playing more games. And I also kind of read a little bit that he obviously catches his main problem, but I think he could play. I think he can play outfield, and I think he can DH too. And I think that'll help him maybe stealing bases longer, maybe not, but maybe stealing 7 bases. And I think he'll have some power in that lineup, and I think he will. We all respect Yadi, but I think he will do better than Yadi this season, getting some youth behind the plate for the Cardinals. I think that'll help.
Yeah, I think Yadi, no doubt, was kind of tailing off of the end of his career, and Wilson will hopefully be that good or better going forward. We certainly hope. And okay, so I got to ask you, because you're young.
Yeah.
So they put all these new rules into effect in baseball this year. The pitch clock.
Yeah.
What do you think about the pitch clock?
Well, I was it's weird, very weird. I think they should just keep it the same. So someone told me that, well, are we just going to play softball? What is this game turning into? Because I get you want the game to be shorter, but baseball fans are intense, and they want to watch. That's what they do for the day. They want to watch baseball. They don't want to go to a 2-hour game and pay for whatever was it, $30 parking, and then only be at the game for 2 hours. And they want to see a good. The pitch clock, not getting the batter to step in, but then all the other factors that I don't want that stuff that much.
Rob, pay attention. Mr. President, head of baseball,
Yeah.
young kid, loves baseball, telling you, do away with the pitch clock. I hate the pitch clock. I hate
Same,
everything
yeah.
about the pitch clock. I don't like it. It's changing the game. Not a good thing. So give me your outlook. Where do you think the Cardinals are going to finish the season this year? What do they need to do to win the division and then go beyond that?
So I think adding Contreras is good. I think that you saw Newbar in the World Baseball Classic. He hit well. And there is Newbar and Ohtani did bond together. So I think that they could go for Ohtani. I think that'd be I think they'd win. They would win. They would definitely probably win the National League if they got Ohtani. Just behind the Dodgers and stuff. But I don't know if they can pay Ohtani. And I think if they had to trade Ohtani, I think they'd be giving away who's that? Wynn, the prospect, and then Walker, and probably Liberatore, Gorman. I think Newbar would have to go in that.
The price tag's going to be steep.
And they're really just going to get Ohtani. Yeah, he's good, but is it worth trading all these prospects that could be I don't want to say as good as him, but could give us good numbers?
Well, there's obviously success in numbers when you got that many people that can impact your lineup for one guy. That's a little scary.
Yeah, especially they're going to have a hole maybe with him. Well, he can pitch and play outfield, but if he gets injured, what are you going to do? What are you just going to call up these rookies that may not even be that good? I don't know. There's some rookies that seem like they're having a good year in spring training, but I don't know how they're going to turn out. So
Right.
I don't think
We've seen that before
Yeah.
with guys like Paul DeYoung, and
Yeah.
I really hope. I root for Paul DeYoung. I hope he does well, but boy, has it been a struggle.
I don't see him there.
Yeah.
I think they should just give him away. I think they should just. I don't know if they can drop him or anything, but if they can just trade him, maybe get a big trade package and put him in it, maybe him and then two other decent prospects, not our top 5, and then maybe acquire a relief pitcher that could do something, maybe.
You can tell that Landon and I agree a lot about the fact that the Cardinals need more pitching at some point this season, already going into the season without Adam Wainwright. That's big.
Yeah. I think that Wainwright, I think he's gonna maybe have 4 wins, but I think they should maybe consider him being a relief pitcher. I know he loves starting, and a lot of respect to him, but I think his fastball is only gonna be 81 miles an hour maybe, and I think the first few at bats he'll fool him with his curveball, but if they can get under that, then I don't know what's gonna happen, and I think that with his whatever's groin or something, I think that he's older, so I think that if he wants to pitch longer into games, he's gonna have to work through his injury, which I think he does. I think he does good working through his injury, but if he wants to have a good season, I think he's gonna have to try not to get injured and maybe not throw as much or something. I don't know, but.
Yeah, going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. You can tell, can't you, Cardinal fans, that this kid's pretty smart for his age. 13 years old. Landon Atkins here on That's a Winner podcast. Hope to see you at the ballpark some this summer. And then who knows, maybe we'll end up right back here again sometime on another break of yours and do another segment.
Hopefully.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Landon. And that's this segment on That's a Winner podcast.